founder at Million Dollar Party Girl, and this is Social Girl Live. So tonight we are talking about the number one thing you must do to rock your goals every single week, every single month, and get to point A to point B where you want to be at the end of this year. How to track your actual results so they are in line with your goals. Because if you don't know your numbers, you will never get there. That's the harsh reality. Successful people know their numbers and they know them every single week. You want to be checking in. These are the categories. There's many numbers that you can track. These are the ones I feel are the most important, and I'm going to tell you why. All right, so let's start with the number of parties held. One of the most important numbers, right? And typically, if you don't track it, there's a false sense that you might be holding more parties in your mind than you really are in reality. And so that's why you want to make sure that you have that reality check every single day. You should be looking at your calendar to see what you have booked coming up, and is that in line with your goals this month? And at the bottom, it says, this year I will. So we're using those power words, right? It's not, I'm going to try. There's no trying. It's either you do it or you don't do it, right? So this year I will hold blank number of parties per week. So you're going to start by putting that number out there. Make sure that's in line with your income goal. And then we've got a trip affirmation. I will earn a trip to. And of course, recruit blank number of team members per month. Set a number. You got to write it down. Can't achieve it if you don't, right? And then also a little personal development. This year, I will learn how to blank. What is that one thing that you really need to focus on that's going to help you get to where you need to be? Now, you've got to start with your income goal. That's how you figure out your party goal. So this is some, kind of a fun activity to do with your upline, your leader, and you decide that is the best thing about this business. So start with your number. And then every month, this is your reality check. So your goal was X, we'll say, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, maybe. At the end of the month, you want to write that number in. How many did you actually hold? And when we're talking hold, we're talking parties closed, not just booked on your calendar, because it doesn't count if it didn't happen, right? And you know that you need to overbook in order to plan for those postponements and cancellations, which are a reality for every single business. This way, early on, you can identify, are you going to be on track to earn that income that you set for yourself? When you start putting these numbers in here, it really is a big eye-opener for you to see if you're doing the activities you need to do to get the parties booked, right, to meet that goal. The next column, total party sales. So what this number is, and again, you might have access to this in your back office, or you might need to figure this out yourself. That's why you want to start right now. You don't want to wait to the end of the year and have to figure this out. So let's say you held 6 parties and you sold $4,000. All right. We're just going to do easy math here. So you take out your calculator. This is going to be an important number to calculate the next number, which is average party sales. This tells you every time you do a party, what is that number that you know you're going to hit so that you know exactly how much money you're going to make. It's going to be different for everybody. Everybody's party average is going to be different than the other person. And so that's why you need to know your number. Now, here's why this number is important. Because what you want to do is check your number against the company average number. And if your number is lower than the company average, that tells you there's room for improvement. That's why these are called KPIs, key performance indicator. They're an indicator of your performance. It's kind of like your report card. It lets you know, gosh, if I move this number up, think about how much more income you could make. And at the end, you're going to add them all up and get your year-to-date totals. The next number, all these numbers are the numbers that I feel are most important, is the average number of buying guests, not attending guests, but buying guests. And the reason I put buying guests, and you guys put your hand in the air if you know what I'm talking about, is this is really the big difference between online parties and home parties, right? So a home party, typically everybody that comes buys. An online party, that's not so, right? You could have 20 people RSVP going and 5 people buy. So this is going to be a strong indicator of your performance at both your home and your online parties. What seems like a very insignificant number, but is one of the most important numbers that you can track. So stay with me on this because it's all about how many people you're meeting, right? You're doing parties to meet people that are going to become new customers, new hosts, and join your team. That's why you're doing parties. You're not doing parties to sell product. That automatically happens when you know how to have a successful party. It's really about meeting the people that you're going to impact and that are going to also grow your business. Remember, if you're meeting more people and you're mastering your hostess coaching, what's going to happen? You're going to get more bookings at your party. So each of these numbers really impacts the next. And bookings per party is huge. It's one of the most, of course, I felt all of these are one of the most important numbers. But if you are only getting one booking at each and every party, it is actually proven that you will be out of business within your first 90 days if you just get one booking at every single party. Why? Because people reschedule, people postpone. And so each month, maybe you start with 4 to 6. You got one booking at each. You think you're great. You're like, yes, now I've got 4 to 6 more. Well, no, because the reality is those 4 to 6 are now looking more like 3 to 4. And then by the third month, you're down to 1 to 2. So a good goal is 3 bookings at every single party. And so this might be a number that you don't get tracking on from your company, but guess what? You can track it yourself. So look at how many parties you held for that month. From that, how many parties did you book into the next month? So if you held 6 and the next month you have 18, you booked 3 parties at every single party. Congratulations, you have now mastered the skill of building a sustainable business. The next column is number of personal recruits for the month. So you want to make sure you're in line with your parties held. Are you talking about the business opportunity? So if you held 6 parties and if you recruited 0, that's telling you that you missed somebody, that there was somebody at your party that was thinking about doing what you do, because we know every single party, there's somebody watching, thinking about doing what you do. They just don't tell you. It's true. So this gives you that reality check early on that, oh my gosh, I didn't recruit anybody this month, yet I held, 5 parties. I missed people. And that's where you can actually go back and look for those sponsoring opportunities. Call up some of the people that bought, that became customers, that became hostesses, and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot to mention this, but I've really been thinking about you. You stood out so much at the party. You were so much fun. I could just tell you had so much energy. And this could really apply to either online or in person. And I just had to ask you, have you ever thought about doing something like this? Now you could do this in a text message, in a personal message, or a voice message, even better, so they can really hear your sincerity in your voice. I'm gonna, kind of guess that one of those people will say, yeah, you know what? I was thinking about it, but I just didn't ask you. So why does that happen? Well, it's because people don't have the confidence. You need to be the person that believes in people enough to let them know why you think they would be great at it. And then the worst that happens is you gave them a compliment. And so we call this a sponsoring ratio, or a recruiting ratio. And a good recruiting ratio is 1 out of 5. So every 5 parties, you should have at least 1 new person join your team. 5 people might be interested, but 1 that actually says yes. All right, the last 2 columns, because again, we're talking party and team tracking. Number of team recruits. So track your personal, but let's track your team. Now, what if you don't have a team? Well, guess what? If you're tracking your personal, you're going to build a team. So congratulations. We're going to solve that problem. What if this number is 0? Then that's telling you that you're recruiting people, but you're not influencing them to grow and start building their teams. So what's the opportunity? What kind of sponsoring training do they have that you can tap into? Maybe it's mindset. Maybe it's the power of influence. Maybe it's how to start a new consultant strong. But this is an important number, because if it's only you sponsoring, then that's a huge opportunity for you to really grow in a big way by starting to influence the people you sponsor to sponsor 2. Each one join with 1. And when you start to focus on that, after you've mastered these, just think about the impact this is going to have on your business this year. You sponsor 2. They each join with a friend. Now you have 4. You do it again next month. Oh my gosh, you sponsored 2 more. Now you have 6. But those 2 also join with a friend. Now you have 8. You can go from a team of 2, and I've done it and I've seen it happen, to a team of 20 to 30 to 40 in a matter of 3 to 4 months. It can just grow exponentially. So track your team recruits. And then last but not least, what are your team sales? Now, if you're teaching your team how to do this, this is how you start to grow your team sales. And again, you want to make sure, check to see, are you 90%, which can happen, of your team sales, right? If your total party sales are close to the same number as your team sales, then that's giving you, again, another insight into what you might need to focus on. And that really starts with new consultant success. How can you train those new consultants that you're sponsoring, tap into what your company's already doing, and really support those consultants to start strong? Because when they're successful, when they're making money, when they're booking parties, they tend to stick around, right? And that helps with your retention. So when you're, a high percentage of your total team sales, that I'm going to guess that you're struggling with retention, that you're recruiting people and they're probably leaving the business pretty early on, pretty quickly. And so it's always you doing all the work, right? How many of you guys have felt that way? Like it's you doing it all. And so that's where you need to keep your strong personal business. But again, tap into those resources that are going to help you become an influencer, become a leader of leaders, and start developing other people to reach their full potential. And that's how you really start to grow your team. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.